Hong Kong managed to avoid serious casualties after a mauling on Sunday by one of the most powerful storms on record to hit the city, but was facing a long and difficult recovery from extensive damage, flooding and travel disruptions. Severe Typhoon Mangkhut shut down the city for the entire day, forcing residents to stay indoors for a harrowing 10 hours under a number 10 warning signal, as high-rise buildings swayed. Windows shattered, scaffolding was blown off skyscrapers, the lift shaft of a building under construction in Tai Kok Sui collapsed, and roads were blocked by severe flooding and fallen trees. Mangkhut, named after the Thai word for mangosteen, was a super typhoon when it triggered the number 8 signal at 1:10 a.m. The storm had weakened slightly into a severe typhoon when the signal was upgraded to number 9 6 hours later, and then raised to the highest level at 9:40 a.m. as it tore into the city with wind speeds of 118 km per hour, 73 miles per hour. While the city was spared a direct hit, it could not escape the ferocity of Mangkhut. At its most intense stage, maximum sustained wind speeds near the center of the storm clocked in at 195 km per hour, making it the most powerful since Typhoon Hope in 1979, and stronger than Super Typhoon Hado last year. Mangkhut also struck from a further distance, then came within 100 km of the city at its closest. Video clips and photos circulating on social media depicted extraordinary scenes of destruction under the onslaught. As it happened, Typhoon Mangkhut smashed Hong Kong for hours. Rescuers were called in as torrential rains left more than 24 neighborhoods in waist-deep water, among them low-lying coastal areas such as Lai Yu Moon, the Hang Fei Chuan residential neighborhood and the evacuated fishing village of Tio on Lantau Island. Storm surges caused sea levels to rise as high as 4 meters above usual in Sim Sha Tsui. Sirens rang out on empty streets throughout the day as emergency responders struggled to keep up with the surge of panic calls to the 999 hotline. Lam Soo-hung, 46, who lives with her husband and 6-year-old daughter in a rooftop home in Tai Kok Sui, said their metal sheet roof was shaking violently around noon, while water seeped in through the ceiling and walls. Serious flooding and swaying buildings as Hong Kongers battle monster storm. "I was really afraid the roof might be blown away, so I called 999, Lam said. But the line was busy. They ended up seeking refuge in a building corridor. There were nearly 200 reports of fallen trees, and key arteries such as Lockhart Road and Wan Shai, Kam Shung Road in the New Territories, and several lanes of Lion Rock and Shing Moon tunnels had to be closed to traffic. Aberdeen Tunnel was partially shut due to flooding. Public transport came to a grinding halt, while the MTR Corporation could only keep skeletal train services running along underground sections of track. Hundreds of passengers were stranded at stations. Hundreds of travelers were stranded at the airport as well, while nearly 900 flights were cancelled. In Hung Hom, dozens of windows were blown out of a commercial building, sending paper and documents flying in the wind like confetti. The electricity supply to about 40,000 Chilean pesos customers, mainly in the northern New Territories, Yuen Long and Sai Kung, was disrupted, ranging from brief cuts to voltage dips, with the utility firm blaming it on damaged overhead power lines. CLP Managing Director Chiang Tung Kyung said the storm's destructive effect on power supply facilities and customer services had been more severe than expected. Emergency service teams are being deployed to carry out restoration works under safe circumstances, he said. 20,000 Macau households left without power after Mangkhut causes severe flooding. More than 200 people sought hospital treatment during the storm, while a damaged path leading to a helipad at St. John Hospital on Chung Chau Island shut down helicopter transport services. Due to sudden voltage dips and uncertainties about power supply, 5 public hospitals had to use backup systems during the typhoon, though patient services remained normal, according to the hospital authority. In neighboring Macau, which had to shut down all its casinos, 20,000 households were facing power cuts, while severe flooding in the inner harbor area made two main roads unusable. At least 17 people were injured, but the city appeared to have been spared the death and destruction brought by Hado last year. Shenzhen and Zhuhai in mainland China were also hit by partial blackouts and flooding, while all major cities in the Pearl River Delta region were in a state of emergency as Mangkhut headed their way. Transport was paralyzed in the Greater Bay Area, with nearly all flights grounded and intercity train and bus services suspended. At least 2 deaths were reported in Guangdong province. Southern China's Pearl River Delta shuts down as typhoon kills at least 2. The number 10 signal was downgraded to number 8 at 7:40 p.m. as Mangkhut began pulling further away from Hong Kong, and residents started emerging in the streets, despite the observatory warning the danger was not over. The government announced schools would remain closed on Monday as a precaution, regardless of any typhoon or warning signals. Extensive damage and blocked roads also prompted several universities to cancel classes and close offices. Chief Executive Carrie Lam Cheng Yut NGOR urged employers in the private sector to be flexible about work hours, and understand that employees might face difficulty getting to work. The city was expected to spend days picking up the pieces and cleaning up. The airport authority estimated it would take a couple of days to clear the backlog of 889 cancelled flights. It is expected that the weather conditions will still be unfavorable to airport operations on Monday, hence flight operations will still be affected, the authority said in a statement. The airport will implement flight rescheduling on Monday and possibly Tuesday, to ensure an orderly recovery. Heavy damage to overhead lines at some 50 locations along the MTR network, mostly at exposed sections of the East Rail and Light Rail lines, left it doubtful whether full services could resume overnight. Due to the bad weather, we expect that it would greatly increase the time and difficulty for any maintenance and repair works, MTR Chief of Operations Engineering Tony Lee Kar-yun said. The typhoon had not caused any seepage and would not derail the opening of the city's new cross-border, high-speed rail link on September 23, an MTR source said. The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge Authority said non-essential workers had been evacuated from the bridge and all vessels within 3 nautical miles from the structure would be ordered to leave the area. 2 high-powered towboats would be stationed nearby to protect the bridge from incoming vessels and prevent collisions. The moves came amid concerns whether the soon-to-open bridge would be able to take Mangkhut's winds. Several ferry services, including those between Chengchao and Muiwo, and the North Point Hung Hom Kowloon City route, were expected to remain suspended due to serious damage found at several piers.